like the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds, they can't become royalty. They can't become the crown, but what they can do, they can marry into it. They can have artificial babies like Kate is having. I mean, I'll tell you something. The crown is in big trouble right now because King Harry or Prince Harry and Prince that other idiot, they're worthless. Those babies are worthless. I don't think Kate had a real live royal babies. I don't even think Kate is royal. You got to have a royal woman to make royal babies. And that's why this woman that Harry married is worthless because she's not a royal. None of her babies could ever be royal, and this is why they had to kill Diana because she was like the last good royal around. And if she had a baby with Dodi Fayed, that
Yep.
baby would have been royal.
Yep. Yep. She had a Middle Eastern kid. She was about to have a
Yeah.
Middle Eastern
They
kid.
would have had to accept a royal Muslim into the family. And that's the thing is that it's not the men, it's not the boys. Diana didn't have a daughter. She had two boys. Those boys are worthless without a female. And this is why there's so much incest. This is why the hell they've been doing this ever since Noah. They've been doing this since the pharaohs, man. This is how they keep the royal blood moving because it comes from the female. It's just like you're not a true Jew unless your mother was a Jew. It's the same damn thing,
Yeah.
you know?
So there's this whole belief that Ben Franklin and a bunch of the founding fathers signed a deal with the crown that they get a giant portion of our taxes. Do you have any thoughts on that? Because that kind of fits into what you were
Well, of
talking about.
course. First of all, they were Masons. Okay. Now, second of all, the Masons weren't even infiltrated until 1776. Okay, up until 1776, they were just a fraternal organization, but they were a secret fraternal organization. And they had a lot of power. And this is why Weishaupt, Jacob Frank, the big Frank, and Rothschild decided that that was going to be the group that they would take over and turn into the basis of the Illuminati. Okay, but when when they would have done that, they would have had to have done that because the Masons, just like anyone else, are signers to the Magna Carta. So they would have had to have pledged 20%. Even if the crown never took possession, it would still technically belong to the crown. 20% of everything.
That's incredible, dude. So I mean,
Well,
because
th-
nobody really understands how taxes work. Everyone's like, "I'm tired of my tax money. Go to this." Your tax money isn't going to that. Your tax money is going to paying off the Babylonian money magic that is the Federal Reserve. Am I wrong here?
yeah, well, when I realize now it's not even Babylonian, it's damn Phoenician. It's like these guys, you think they're good at hiding. Okay. It's like the Khazars hiding behind the Jews, the Chabad hiding behind the Jews. Hell, the Phoenicians are hiding behind the Jews. It's the fucking Phoenicians. When they go back, all right, here's a good way of knowing the truth. Okay, there are 12 tribes of Israel.
Yeah.
After King Solomon died, the country split in two. 10 tribes go north, two tribes stay south. Okay. The kingdom of the north with the 10 tribes weren't even run by their king wasn't even related to Solomon. The ones in the south, that was the son of Solomon. But the guy that was running the north, whatever his name was, he was like Solomon's, you know, chauffeur or some crap. Anyway, point is that the guys in the south got taken over by Babylon because they were weak. There's only two tribes. They were easy. Okay, so Babylon took them out, took them to Babylon. So we hear all about the Babylonian Talmud and all that. That was those two tribes. Okay, an insignificant portion of the entire Israeli people. The guys in the north, they were right next to Lebanon. There were 19 kings that served after Solomon in the north before they finally fell to Assyria. And the whole time that country was in operation, from the time of Solomon to the very end, they were doing human sacrifice. They were killing babies. Okay, now these kings, they didn't have just one wife. They had maybe, 12, 19, 20 wives. They didn't mind throwing one of those babies in the fire. They had plenty of babies. And they called that passing the children passing your child through the fire, passing your son through the fire. And this was a celebration to Melqart. And Melqart is a Phoenician deity. And everyone, if you try to get the historians to tell you this, they're going to say, oh, no, BS, BS. Melqart is Hercules, the same guy that the Greeks and the Romans will refer to as Hercules. You could call him Nimrod, you could call him whatever you want, but this is the oldest thing. These guys go back 6,000 BC. Nobody goes back that far. Okay? This is as old as it gets. They were the original civilization, the original Semites. The first to appear in the Fertile Crescent was the Phoenicians. Okay?
We talking
And they've been hiding.
Sumerians?
Phoenicians from Phoenicia.
Were they
Nobody
older
talks
than
about them.
Sumerians? Were they older than Sumerians?
Yes, they're the oldest ones, man. The oldest ones. Everything that came, that we think of in the like the Babylonians, we think of the Hittites, the Amorites, whatever, all these different stuff. The Phoenicians were the first ones, the most widespread. Okay, and the thing about the Phoenicians is that they didn't have a centralized government. They had city-states. And that's why Phoenicia Prime, which is what is basically Lebanon, wasn't the same thing as, say, Carthage, which was, I don't know what that was, Libya or whatever, right? That, hell, Spain, when you think about the Sephardic Jews that went to Spain, they're Phoenicians. Okay, the only people that had a navy were the Phoenicians because they had the Lebanese cedar. No one else had the trees to make the ships but the Lebanese, the damn Phoenicians. Israel, Solomon, David, did they have a navy? They didn't have shit. The Pharaoh didn't have a navy. The best the Pharaoh could do was make boats that could sail on the Nile because their little acacia trees could barely make a board 4 foot long. But a cedar, on the other hand, you could make big ass giant ships. So they ruled. And they could take those ships as far as Australia. And what did they do? They looked for bronze. They looked for tin. They made their bronze. They looked for their copper and their tin. This was the Bronze Age. They ruled because they knew they had the metallurgy. They had the geology. They had the ability to find these metals. And they went all over the world to look for these metals. And that's why they ruled. But, again, what had happened to Carthage, they were destroyed by Rome. And Rome hated them so much that they sowed salt into their land so that they couldn't grow food, which is incredible because salt was an incredibly scarce commodity back in those days. So that's crazy. But why did they hate them so
Phoenicians?
Much?
They did to the Phoenicians?
Yes,
Rome.
Carthage was Phoenicia. Okay. Carthage was Phoenicia, Spain was Phoenicia, the entire northern coast of Africa that was not Egypt was Phoenicia. Okay, everything but Egypt and the Greeks and the Romans, that little bit up there, the Aegean and Italy, that was not Phoenician. But the Phoenicia was everything else. Okay.
Do you think that any of this history has anything to go on with what's going on with Israel and Lebanon right now?
Totally. It's all the same thing. It's the same people. It's all the same people. I mean, basically, if you take the Babylonian religion, you take all these satanic type things, they all trace back to this Phoenician stuff. And if anything, by pointing us at Moloch and saying, oh, those damn Babylonians, hell, their influence was tiny compared to the influence of the Phoenicians, who are actually, I mean, hell, they still make kids' movies about Hercules saying how wonderful Hercules was. Talk about a psyop. I mean, that's like, could you imagine if you reverse Hercules as Moloch, the adventures of Moloch? It's the same damn thing. It's worse. Hell, I used to get in arguments with Grok on Twitter about this stuff. And even Grok would have to admit, well, yeah, they probably did commit human sacrifice for Melqart,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now, is this the city of Tyre?
Tyre was a Phoenician city. Tyre was an
Yes, dude.
island. Yeah.
And it was
Ty
fortified. And this even goes all the way back to why you see a lot of, like
Alexander the Great, man, conquered
yes,
Tyre.
dude. Holy shit.
But here's the thing that people don't understand is that even though Tyre was a little like a country unto itself, they were dedicated to Melkart or whatever it was. They still followed. It's almost like if you look at Israel today and you look at these different countries, you try to understand, well, who's really running this stuff. It was the same thing back then, because even though that Tyre was technically not even a Phoenician city, it was something else. It was being attacked as if it was a Phoenician city. Okay. When the story of Tyre was an island. What Alexander did is he built a pier, a jetty that went all the way out to the island with rocks, and he that's how he conquered the island. And that the island is no longer an island now because those rocks got, it's like all dirt now. There's a city built there. Crazy story, but yeah, they did slaughter all those people.
That's so crazy. That's so crazy. And you go back, the main gods of the Phoenicians were Baal, right?
No, man, it was Melkart.
Malquart, there it is,
Baal
god of
was
Tyre, who was associated with Hercules. Holy.
Baal was actually Moloch, who was actually a man. It was like a Babylonian version of Melkart. Okay, but everyone wants to point their fingers at the Babylonians. Hell, the Babylonians, I mean, they came and went. There's a lot of big civilizations, and people have to understand is that when they were at their prime, they kind of like covered all the territory. Okay, when Babylonian was big, it was like real big. When Assyria was big, it was real big. When Egypt was big, it was real big. Phoenicia was always real big. They were big longer than anybody. I mean, you know, we don't even know how big they were. They had colonies all over the world that we're never even going to know about. I mean, they're digging up Phoenician uh, encampments on the west coast of Australia. I mean, crazy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, what's going on? And it seems to be like this global mafia is making their move right now to really tighten shit up. And what role do you think the internet has in like this kind of awakening coming? And did they create it, not understand what it was going to be, or is it doing exactly what they wanted it to do?
Well, it was originally a DARPA thing, and yeah, it did get out of control. What really screwed it up for the powers that be are personal computers. Okay, that's what really did it, because once you gave people the power to do desktop publishing, you
Oh,
could
yeah.
suddenly write books and do blogs and all that stuff like we're talking about right now, like we're doing right now. What we're doing right now is the equivalent of having a printing press back in the 1700s and putting out leaflets.
Yes.
Okay. And if you
Yes.
read the protocols, right, you read the protocols, it says right there that they're going to control all the organs of the information, the distribution, the printers, the leaflets, and then they get into theater, blah, 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 TV. Well, now they're doing everything they can to control this. I mean, like I said, I just got kicked off Twitter. Elon is definitely one of them. Uh,
What'd you
Pavel
say? What'd you
Durov.
do? What'd you do on Twitter? They've
What
been
was the
pretty
guy you
lenient.
kicked
I,
off?
I I upset a Jew. Okay, do you like? You got to ask.
Jew magic.
I call it the protected class. I. This is what happened. I said, "Why do you even live?" Now that doesn't even sound very bad, right? But I said it to a Jew, and that was hate. He's
So
questioning
crazy.
my right to exist.
It's so crazy.
That's what
It's so
happened.
crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm very
Yeah.
upset about it. Very upset. And that's why I want your show to do incredible work today. I expect people just go, ah, and because the only revenge I can get is by, and don't make no mistake, I am on a revenge mission. This mission,
Love it.
Occupy the Getty,
Yeah.
this is a scorched earth policy. I am not here to get somebody elected. I am here to destroy the entire control structure of the earth that's been in place for
Let's
25 million
go,
fucking
bro.
years.
Let's go, bro. So what I find very interesting is I first learned of you, Stephen, through a lecture video that you were giving about the Getty. And that's when I first learned about you. And I found what you were saying was fitting in to everything I was learning. And, you know, it's like, again, I have friends of mine who are normies. Most people I know is normies. My girlfriend's a normie, you know. I still love them. They're normies. They think I say crazy stuff. And like the first time I start to like really detach from everybody is the Pizzagate stuff. And so we're doing deep dives into that. We're getting it, you know, you have people like Mouthy Buddha, you have like all these wonderful memory hole. These guys are doing great research into Comet Ping Pong and all that stuff. And, you know, they're talking about like, hey, dude, Comet Ping Pong has tunnels that connect to the Pegasus Museum. Everyone's talking all about that. You know, and then I meet with my friends, even I would say like within a year ago, I meet with a good friend of mine from high school, and he's like a super normie. We love each other, but he's like, and Pizzagate's not real. And I go, well, at the least, it's Jeffrey Epstein. At the least. And we kind of, you know, I don't like to fight with people anymore because like I get into, you know, that's when, you know, it's kind of one of these new conspiracy theorists who are like Paul revering it and like the pedophiles are coming and people getting angry at me. Johnny was there. My friend puts hands on me. You know, this is how it kind of goes. And so when I see your video, I go, this kind of lines up with me. This kind of fits what I've been learning about on the West Coast. So why wouldn't it be on the, happen on the East Coast? Why would it be on the West Coast? And then right near when your video is kind of circulating around, suddenly there's a giant fire at the Getty.
Or two.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
all these fires at the Getty. And I go, wow, that's really crazy that this video of this guy giving a giant lecture is going around and now suddenly there's a fire. So take us through how you discover what was going on at the Getty.
Oh my God, you guys are going to have to read the book. Let me see if I can do this quick because man, we could talk for hours, but first of all, I had my big wake up with the NSA guys or the with the death squad thing. That's that whole, you know, narcos business with the going in there killing everybody in the village. That's what broke me, was learning about that stuff. You know, having them tell me about that stuff broke me because they were the people I was working with. But I I became like an outsider. All right. And remember, I didn't even really think about, and I thought I was anti-CIA. I was like, became famous for being the guy that had sort of went against the CIA and was sort of fighting against them. And so I got attracted to a lot of stuff. One of the things I got attracted to me was the whole alien business with Billy Meyer. Okay. So I got connected to the Billy Meyer gang. I got exposed to all the Pleiadian stuff and everything else, and of course that was really crazy to me. I had to file that stuff away, but that when I started messing around with the whole UFO business, it started attracting a bunch of attention. This is when I really had guys follow me around and weird phone call stuff going on all the time. And this is because of my background being a electro-optical engineer. I'm also an inventor, and I developed all these processes. And one of the processes I came up with was using fine silver, and it turns out that that's how they build these UFOs. Was basically using a version of that process. Uh, I'll throw it also in there that I also learned that this process was involved in light speed propulsion because I worked with them about on that stuff, light speed propulsion. I did all kinds of top secret stuff, okay, but I never had any kind of I was on the outside, okay. I did everything, all my lasers and everything were me, making it for me. And when I put it out there like a new laser weapon or something, I didn't get anybody's permission. I just did it. All right. But as far as that particular bunker is concerned, I had at least two guys that were trying to become my handler, if you will. Okay. and they both turned out to be actual reptile aliens. I didn't find that out until many years later. They're
I'm
humans.
listening. I'm listening.
One guy was a dick, the other guy was really cool, but they both turned out to be fucking reptiles. But anyway, each one of those guys led me to this underground stuff. The first guy, they've been trying to get me out to Area 51 for a long time, okay, because of my technology stuff. And I've been resisting it. I had children, I had a family. There was no way you're going to get me out there. And I wouldn't go out there no matter what, but they kept trying, even since the first days with the Ollie North gang. That was what the NSA guys were. That was the Ollie North gang I was working for. They were trying to get me out to Area 51. And so we were talking about bunkers. I mean, Area 51, where everyone knows it's a bunker, and we knew what was going on. So the idea of having bunkers wasn't a mystery to me at all. But when I was in California, I figured out that the Getty was a bunker, but that didn't get confirmed. I mean, I had suspicions, psychic stuff. I kind of knew something was off because of that. But then what happened was my brother's friend, his friend, became the trust fund manager for the Getty. And when that happened, we got all the inside scoop on everything. And we figured out there was something going on, and that's when we brought in some psychics to check the place out. And when we